fill this guy up with cold water. The gas turns on, it heats the water up to the temperature we want it to be, and then there it sits, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, down in the basement. And the whole time it's sitting down in the basement, it's probably losing heat to the space around it. Alright? And every time the temperature in this tank drops 3-4 degrees, the gas turns on and reheats the water, even though you haven't used any hot water. So, having said all that, what do you think? Should we put an insulation blanket on our water heater? I don't recommend them. And the reason I don't recommend them is this. When I first started inspecting hot water heaters and doing energy audits back in the early 80s, yeah, I just aged myself. Okay, this was the standard amount of insulation on a water heater, about an inch, maybe an inch and a half of fiberglass. They were really poorly insulated. And in those days, adding this inch of fiberglass with this insulation blanket really gave some significant savings. But nowadays, the cheapest water heater you can buy probably has an inch and a half of foam insulation already on it. They're much better insulated than they were 15, 20 years ago. And with that amount of insulation already on it, this little bit of fiberglass isn't really going to save you anything significant. And they look ugly. So, if we're not going to insulate the hot water heater, how are we going to save on our hot water bill? Well, one way is by lowering the temperature of the hot water. A lot of us have our hot water heaters way too hot. I mean, I get into households and I start, turn the hot water on to test the temperature, and I can't even put my hand in it without fear of burning myself. Very dangerous temperature to have it. You should have your hot water somewhere between 120 and 130 degrees. At 120 degrees, your skin will redden a little bit, but you won't be at risk of being burned. Okay? And that's the mistake a lot of people make with water heaters. I mean, they assume that if the installer came in and he installed a new hot water heater, that he knows where to set this dial here. That's not true, because none of these units are exactly alike. They are getting better with the controllers on hot water heaters, so that some of the newest hot water heaters actually have a thermostat that you can dial in the exact temperature you want it to be. But for a lot of us with older water heaters, we just kind of have to do the touch test to figure out if we've got that water too hot or not. So you want it the lowest temperature possible that still gives you adequate amounts of hot water.